Well, it happened. Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, John Lunsford here, and it only took 2 episodes to get to the moment that, well, most of us knew was coming. But we still weren't ready for it. And if you haven't watched the episode to know what I'm talking about, go back, watch it, and then come back to this video. For those that did watch it, you know that I'm talking about the death of Joel, which of course stayed true to the game. And I think you can both love and hate that they stuck to the source material. Now, as I mentioned in my episode 1 review to start the season, I did not actually play the second game, but I knew what happened and I was ready for it. I think most people knew what happened because there was so much buzz around the game, with critics calling it one of the greatest ever, but then a lot of the audience reaction was kind of divisive. So even if people didn't play the game, they were at least aware of what happened and why there was some backlash. This episode had 2 major plot points, but Joel's death was the one we knew was coming. They did a really bad job with the promotion because they showed a golf club in it, kind of saying, hey, it's about to happen. There were a lot of similarities to the game and only really a few differences with that aspect of it. The biggest difference was who was with who on patrol. In the game, it seems like Tommy and Joel were on patrol together instead of Joel and Dina. In the game, Tommy tries to be hospitable, and Joel is actually the one who introduces himself after Tommy does so. My wife kept saying last night that if Dina just would have kept her mouth shut, none of this would have happened, because Dina is actually the one that calls Joel by name, and that makes them realize in the show instead. In the game, once they realize, Abby instantly shoots Joel in the knee the way the show does it, and they just knock out Tommy by pistol whipping him. In the show, they give Dina a sedative to basically knock her out for an hour so that she doesn't witness anything. Ellie's side of Joel's death plays out pretty much the same. The main difference in her part of the story is that her discovery of the weed farm in the convenience store actually takes place with Dina on the same patrol depicted in the first episode when they went in the supermarket. The game shows Ellie and Dina smoke weed, and it's implied that they hook up there. The scene where Jesse comes to get Ellie in the morning is almost shot for shot the same, but the context is a little different because the dance where Ellie and Dina kiss isn't actually shown until near the end of the game. So you're just kind of piecing together information based on the dialogue in this scene in the game. However, we've already seen it in episode 1, so we didn't really have to make anything up in our minds. So the show stayed fairly faithful to the game when it comes to Joel's death, the largest difference being that Dina is there instead of Tommy. But because of that, Tommy was able to have his own hero moment back at Jackson in the incredibly well done kind of Game of Thrones-esque battle against the horde of zombies. While the patrols are out during the blizzard, infected tendrils are found while busting up some pipe, and it leads to the horde coming to the town instead of continuing to chase after Joel, Dina, and Abby. Jackson has to mount a defense, which they seem fairly well prepared for, but there's really no perfect defense in this world against a massive horde of zombies that comes your way. There isn't a lot to go into with the details here other than the horde came, they almost conquered, and left Jackson a steaming pile of rubble with probably way more dead than alive. It is impressive work, though, that needs to be watched and then dissected more in how they did it, more so than what actually happened. It's basically a great firefight. Go watch it. It's really good. The Battle of Jackson is an amazing set piece, with the town being built in a parking lot in Vancouver, Canada, measuring over 292,000 square feet with 45 partially constructed buildings. Of course, there's dozens of stunt performers and over 100 extras in prosthetics. And the main zombie was the bloater, which Tommy had to fight off with a flamethrower. The stuntman inside that outfit was required to use cooling pads and be in a cooling tent before being hit with the flamethrower, which was performed around 12 to 14 times. So that was actually a real guy in a suit being hit with a flamethrower. The standoff scene between Tommy and the bloater was actually filmed 4 months after they filmed that big battle, and they decided to add it in after the fact. 11 visual effects teams worked on this episode, including more than 600 visual effects shots, which is almost 200 more than the big battle we saw against the zombies in Kansas City in season 1. Of course, there also had to be really good makeup and prosthetics for Pedro Pascal as well, as he got his head bashed in. So all of that happened in episode 2, but that's also why I ultimately have a little bit of a gripe about it. I know you probably can't stretch Joel's death into a whole episode itself, but I feel like that is the moment in the show, and it's mixed in with a massive battle that could and probably should have been its own episode as well. The only thing I liked about them being together, those two storylines being together, is that it makes it even more depressing that the last thing Joel sees is the city burning to the ground where his brother is, and for all he knows at that point, Ellie is too. Thinking, hey, I could help, but instead I was kidnapped. Of course, the city burning and the zombies attacking, plus Abby about to do what she came to do, all could have probably been prevented if about 5 years earlier he had just let them operate on Ellie, but we won't get into that. but then we wouldn't get a second game and maybe not even a second season. So yeah, I just hate that two massive plot points are kind of fighting for the spotlight in this one episode because they are both so huge to the show, especially with Joel's death being the plot point we were all waiting on. But I can respect it happening this early since it did happen somewhat early in the game too. I guess the question we have to ask now is, will everything else play out the same in terms of who dies and who doesn't die? It may take until season 3 to get some of those answers since it seems they're kind of making the second game last longer than just this season, and this is a shortened season of only 7 episodes, so we'll see. Overall, I thought Joel's death and the Battle of Jackson were both very well done, and I feel like now it's going to be hard to top it. I also like that Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the game and Ellie's mother Anna in the series, performed a cover of Through the Valley to end the episode. I really do like that they've allowed all the people from the game to be a part of the show since they really created these characters to begin with, including Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the game and then was on the show, and then Troy Baker, who voiced Joel in the game, was James in season 1. Plus, last year, you had Merle Dandridge, who played Marlene in both the game and the show. As we move forward from this crazy episode, we're finally starting to learn about the Washington Liberation Front since Dina saw the logo on one of the backpacks in Abby's crew. And in the look ahead, we may see more next week on them since Dina now knows their names. We'll also maybe see Jeffrey Wright pop up, who is one of my favorite actors working today and is also playing his character Isaac from the game as well, who is the leader of the WLF. In the look ahead, we'll also see Ellie's first days after Joel's death and dealing with that. And of course, Tommy dealing with it as well, since he technically doesn't know yet as of the end of the episode, since he's been busy defending the town. It's also important to note moving forward that Abby is a playable character in the game. I've heard a lot of people say, well, this show is just going to be about Ellie now without Joel. And I wouldn't say that's the case. I think it'll kind of be threefold, really, instead of twofold. Ellie, obviously, because she's kind of the main character, plus Abby with her own storyline when apart from Ellie. But I also think episode 2 is setting up Tommy to kind of have his own aspect of the story as well. He's very much part of the game, and I think is with Ellie a lot of the time, kind of taking over that Joel role, I guess. But I think this episode is showing that he's going to have his own main roles to play in the main story as well, and not just be a side character this season. So what did you think of this episode and the incident that we've all been waiting on to happen? Will you still watch the show now that Joel is dead and Pedro Pascal won't be featured as much? Of course, there'll be plenty of flashbacks, but we'll see how much he's actually used since he does have a major summer coming up with multiple movies he's been gone shooting. And what do you expect from the show going forward in terms of similarities to the game and places they may split off and be different? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to like this video and subscribe for more Last of Us recaps, more TV and movie reviews, and so much more right here on The Pop Culture Life.